If a man is on your mind all the time, it doesn't always mean you're overthinking. It doesn't automatically mean you're imagining something that isn't there. Often, when someone consistently occupies your thoughts, it's because there's an emotional loop that hasn't been closed. There's energy between you. There's tension, curiosity, attachment, or possibility that hasn't fully expressed itself yet. And here's what's fascinating: connection is rarely one-sided in the way we assume. When someone is living rent-free in your head, chances are you've made an imprint on his mind too. Attraction, emotional impact, and psychological attachment don't happen in isolation. If he stirred something strong in you, you likely stirred something in him as well. So if he's constantly crossing your mind, here are 6 things that are very likely already happening to him, even if he hasn't said a word about it. When someone makes a real emotional impact on you, your mind doesn't just store the memory and move on. It lingers, it replays, it zooms in on small details that didn't seem important in the moment, but now feel loaded with meaning. And if you're doing that with him, there's a very strong chance he's doing the same with you. Men replay moments when something felt different, not necessarily dramatic, not necessarily romantic in an obvious way, just different. Maybe it was the way you held eye contact half a second longer than usual. Maybe it was how naturally the conversation flowed without effort or awkward pauses. Maybe it was the way you challenged him on something and didn't immediately agree just to keep the peace. Those are the moments that stick. Replaying is the mind's way of trying to understand significance. When something feels meaningful, the brain revisits it to extract more from it. He might be driving home and suddenly remember the way you laughed at his joke. He might be lying in bed and think about that one sentence you said that revealed something deeper about you. These flashes don't happen by accident. They happen because emotionally you registered. And here's what's powerful: every time he replays a memory, he strengthens the emotional imprint. The more he revisits that conversation or that look or that shared silence, the more emotionally charged it becomes. What was once a simple interaction starts to feel like a moment, something important, something worth analyzing. He may even start questioning himself. Did she mean something by that? Was there more in that moment? That internal questioning is a sign of investment. Indifference doesn't analyze, it doesn't rewind, it doesn't look for hidden meaning. When a man replays moments with you, it means you disrupted his emotional pattern. You created a spike in attention. And attention is the beginning of attachment. The more vivid the memory becomes, the more space you begin to occupy in his internal world. So if you find yourself replaying him, understand this: meaningful connections echo, and echoes are rarely one-sided. When you start thinking about someone constantly, it's usually because they've shifted something inside you. They've interrupted your emotional rhythm. You felt steady, predictable, focused on your own life, and then suddenly, there's this person who changes your mood with a single message, a glance, or even the absence of both. If that's happening to you, it's very likely happening to him too. Attraction isn't just about liking someone, it's about emotional impact. And when you've made an impact on a man, he begins to notice subtle shifts in himself. Maybe he feels a small rush of energy when he sees your name on his phone. Maybe he feels slightly distracted during the day because a thought of you slipped in unexpectedly. Maybe he feels a strange dip in his mood when hours pass without hearing from you. These shifts are small, but they are powerful. What makes this important is awareness. A man may not immediately label what he's feeling as attachment or growing interest. Instead, he just notices that you affect him. And the moment someone realizes another person has influence over their emotional state, that person becomes significant. Significance is where everything changes. Before you, his mood was stable and self-contained. Now, there's a variable, you. And humans are wired to pay attention to variables. If you can lift his mood, intrigue him, frustrate him slightly, or excite him, you've stepped into a space that isn't neutral anymore. You've become emotionally relevant. He may even find himself trying to regulate it, telling himself to calm down or not read too much into things. But the very fact that he has to manage his reaction shows that something is happening internally. Emotional neutrality doesn't require management. Emotional impact does. And here's the deeper layer: the more he notices these shifts, the more he associates them with you. You become the source of anticipation, curiosity, even tension. That association strengthens over time. What started as a simple interest slowly becomes emotional investment. So if he's on your mind constantly, don't assume you're the only one feeling the disruption. When two people affect each other's emotional baseline, the connection is already moving beneath the surface, even if neither of you has fully said it out loud yet. When you think about someone constantly, your energy around them changes, whether you realize it or not. You become slightly more attentive, slightly more aware of their reactions. Your tone might soften or sharpen. Your body language becomes more intentional. And even if you try to play it cool, there's a subtle intensity that wasn't there before. He feels that attraction isn't just about words. It's about micro signals. It's about the pause before you respond, the way your eyes lock in when he's speaking, the small smile you try to suppress. When a woman is thinking about a man often, she carries a certain presence around him. And men, even if they can't articulate it, are highly responsive to that shift. So when he senses that your energy is different with him, his mind starts working. Is she just friendly? Is there something more here? Why does it feel like there's tension? That curiosity doesn't fade quickly. In fact, it grows. Curiosity is powerful because it creates mental loops. Once he starts wondering what you're thinking about him, he can't easily stop. He may replay conversations looking for clues. He may analyze your texts for hidden meaning. He may compare how you treat him versus how you treat others. Not because he's overthinking, but because he feels something unspoken and wants clarity. And here's the key: when someone feels that there's something beneath the surface, their imagination fills in the gaps. If you haven't clearly defined your feelings, the ambiguity becomes fuel. He starts constructing possibilities in his head. Maybe she likes me. Maybe she's holding back. Maybe she's waiting for me to make a move. That uncertainty keeps you in his thoughts. People don't obsess over what feels obvious and resolved. They think about what feels slightly out of reach, slightly undefined, slightly charged. So if you're constantly wondering about him, there's a strong chance he's lying awake at times wondering about you too, trying to decode your tone, your pauses, your glances. Because once a man suspects that a woman is thinking about him, he can't help but start thinking about her right back. When a connection lingers in your mind, it's often because your brain has started running quiet simulations, little what-if scenarios that play out without you even trying. What if we spent more time together? What would it feel like to travel somewhere with him? What would a real relationship actually look like? These thoughts don't appear unless there's emotional potential. And if you're doing this, there's a very real chance he is too. Men don't always talk about this part. But when a woman leaves an impression, his mind naturally begins projecting forward. He might imagine seeing you again and how that interaction could unfold. He might picture introducing you to his friends and wonder how you'd fit into his world. He might even imagine small, ordinary moments, grabbing coffee, sitting next to each other on a quiet evening, sharing an inside joke that only the two of you understand. These mental projections are significant because they signal integration. He's not just thinking about you as a momentary attraction, he's testing how you would exist inside his life. The brain does this automatically when someone feels compatible or intriguing enough to explore long-term potential. What makes this powerful is repetition. Every time he imagines a future scenario with you, it strengthens the emotional pathway associated with you. You begin to feel familiar in his future, even if nothing concrete has happened yet. Familiarity breeds comfort, and comfort deepens attachment. He may not even consciously decide to imagine these things. It can happen while he's daydreaming, while he's planning his week, or while he's reflecting on what he wants long term. Your face, your voice, your energy slip into those thoughts naturally. That's not accidental. That's emotional relevance. And here's the deeper layer: once someone starts picturing you in their future, it subtly shifts their behavior in the present. They may become more intentional, more attentive, slightly more cautious, because now there's something to protect. The mind doesn't build futures around people who don't matter. So if he's been quietly imagining possibilities with you, it means you've already moved beyond being just another interaction. You've become a potential chapter. When someone occupies your thoughts constantly, it often comes with a feeling of uncertainty, an emotional tension that refuses to settle. The brain doesn't like unresolved questions, and humans are naturally wired to fix them. If you're wondering about him, noticing small signs, analyzing his behavior, and feeling the pull of what does this mean, there's a very strong chance he's feeling the same way about you. Uncertainty is magnetic. It keeps the mind engaged because there's no clear conclusion, no definitive answer, and no predictable outcome. When things are completely secure or fully understood, the brain relaxes and attention naturally fades. But ambiguity, just enough to keep him guessing, is a powerful tool in creating mental preoccupation. He may notice something in your behavior that sparks curiosity, or a pause in communication that makes him wonder about your intentions. That tension triggers a loop of thoughts. Does she feel the same way? What is she thinking right now? Should I reach out or wait? That loop is how obsession begins, but not in a negative way. It's a sign that he's emotionally invested. When there's a lack of clarity, the brain works overtime to find patterns, analyze signals, and predict outcomes. He might read into your text messages, replay your recent conversations, or imagine how you might react in different scenarios. All of this mental energy points back to the fact that you matter to him. Uncertainty also amplifies attraction because it creates a sense of possibility. If everything were clear and predictable, there would be no spark, no intrigue. It's the unknown, the space between interactions, and the emotional tension that keeps him engaged and thinking about you even when he's busy or distracted. Every unanswered text, every subtle gesture, every fleeting glance adds fuel to this mental preoccupation. And the fascinating thing is, this uncertainty works both ways. While you may feel pulled toward him, analyzing his actions and wondering about his feelings, he's likely experiencing the same pattern. That unspoken tension, that curiosity about what the other person is feeling, draws both of you into a loop where your thoughts are constantly circling around one another. So if he's on your mind all the time, don't mistake it as one-sided. That magnetic uncertainty, the mental energy created by subtle signals, is likely keeping you on his mind too. He may not admit it, he may not even fully understand it yet, but emotionally, he's invested in figuring it out just as you are. This pull is a natural, subconscious way the mind forms attachment and heightens interest. When someone starts occupying your thoughts consistently, it's not just a passing fancy, it's the beginning of emotional attachment. Thoughts create familiarity, and familiarity breeds comfort. Over time, comfort turns into subtle reliance, and reliance eventually grows into attachment. If you're constantly thinking about him, chances are he's experiencing the same internal process with you, whether he realizes it or not. Attachment doesn't always show up immediately in actions. He might not be texting you constantly or declaring his feelings out loud, but inside, he's forming patterns that make you a significant part of his mental and emotional life. Every memory he revisits, every scenario he imagines, every emotional shift he notices when he thinks about you is quietly strengthening a connection. These repeated mental loops are what anchor someone emotionally. It's not dramatic, it's cumulative. He's likely associating you with more than just your presence. He may connect you to excitement, curiosity, comfort, or even a sense of intrigue that he can't quite define. These associations are powerful because they create emotional touch points. Whenever he experiences something similar, joy, challenge, surprise, his mind unconsciously links it back to you. You become a reference point in his internal emotional landscape. The process is subtle but significant. Men often underestimate the quiet power of emotional repetition. Each time he replays a memory with you, wonders about your thoughts, imagines future possibilities, or feels the tension of uncertainty, he's effectively strengthening the neural pathways that link you to positive and stimulating emotions. The more these pathways are reinforced, the more he begins to think of you as someone essential to his emotional experience. This emotional attachment also shapes his behavior in small ways. He may start being more intentional around you, more observant of your needs, or even more cautious about protecting what he feels developing. He may test the waters, gauge your reactions, and adjust his actions accordingly, all while the attachment quietly deepens. Ultimately, when a man starts forming this attachment, it's a sign that you're more than just a passing thought. You're becoming a central part of his inner world. Your presence, influence, and the emotional energy you create have already begun shaping him internally. And even if he hasn't said anything yet, the emotional connection is real, growing, and quietly shaping the way he experiences life. When someone is on your mind constantly, don't underestimate the silent attachment forming in him. It's the mind's natural way of acknowledging significance, and you've already become important in ways that go far beyond words.